there are different ways to stimulate the economy, and to break that down, we're joined by our usual Money Monday guest, Fernando Uribe, joins us right now. Fernando is in the Garden State of New Jersey. And Fernando, you have some interesting thoughts on, what the next stimulus should look like. What do you think, buddy?
John, it's good to be back on. Thank you. Listen, I was doing some research over the weekend for today, and I looked at not just only what we've seen during the last stimulus package, but I would argue that something that will be very instrumental for the economy and just in general for the labor force is exploring other means and other industries, whether it's involving jobs that entail computer coding, artificial intelligence jobs, and even infrastructure jobs, because these are the type of positions, John, that in this economy that has been changing since really globalization began over 25 years ago, these are very integral jobs. And, it's something that I would argue that the federal government should look at. I'm not saying it should be in the next stimulus package, but I would argue that at some point in some sort of transition, we should see these positions opening up more, because in the long term, they're going to be immensely beneficial for the country, not just for like where we live here in the East Coast, but anywhere in the country where infrastructure is still very faulty, where those jobs are still very much needed. We're seeing more and more of a technological economy, especially even now during COVID. There's so many remote jobs surfacing with companies. This is where computer coding comes in handy. This is where computer skills and remote work, I think, is going to thrive. This is something I would argue should be looked at as sort of the next phase of our economy when we return to some sense of normalcy.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to get any more normal for a little while here, because I have a feeling that the left-wing establishment, and I think that includes the Clinton cartel as well as, the Obamites, I think they're going to keep maximum pressure anywhere they can. Markets, pandemic, racial injustice. They're going to keep all the pressure on to make the waters as cloudy as possible going into this election. And now injecting Kamala Harris in it is just another piece of the whole puzzle, because she is, as you say, quite dangerous, and in many ways.
Absolutely. And what's mind-boggling to me that the Democratic Party feels that this was the best choice for Joe Biden. I mean, essentially, the author of the crime bill nominated an enforcer of the crime bill. And for whatever reason, liberal media is glossing over this. But let me just put this into perspective for our audience about how dangerous she is. And I don't want to hear, that these are comments that are misogynistic or bigoted or sexist. They're not. They're based in fact. And John, this is a woman who's gone on record as comparing ICE and the noble job that they're doing to protect our borders, to preserve our sovereignty, right, to enforce our immigration laws. She has compared ICE agents to the KKK. If that's not blasphemy, I don't know what is. I mean, she also supports providing health care to illegal immigrants on the taxpayer dollar. Okay. She's also a co-sponsor of the Green New Deal. I mean, these are just radical leftist ideas that, hey, they might resonate in New York, in New Jersey, in California, because there's so many, dumbfounded liberals here. But at the end of the day, in the South and in the Midwest, those are states, John, that Democrats need to win. And they're not going to win with running a platform so far to the left. I don't understand why the DNC, and it's funny that, listen, if you want a good laugh, John, tune into the DNC virtual convention this week. I mean, it's going to be an absolute, clown show.
Oh, and I'm with you.
It's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, so, two of the states that the Democrats have been, running their mouths about, that they're going to take back Texas, and they're going to take back Pennsylvania, which are both, of course, two states that went for Trump last time. And one of the biggest, money trains for both those states is fracking. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and her Green New Deal has no interest in fracking. So I find it hard to believe that Joe's going to win a couple of states that need fracking to continue to be successful.
Absolutely. And this is something that gets lost with the left so much, John, is the idea that they want to sort of vilify petroleum. And I get it that it can be harmful. But you know what, John? Aside from putting gas in our cars, okay, petroleum serves immeasurable purposes for us in terms of the production of products that we use on a daily basis, for transporting goods and services. So, John, unless trains and planes are going to run on wind and solar power. Again, I don't know what AOC seems to mean. For someone that brags about her economics degree and someone that's such a climatologist, I think she needs to retake these courses.
Yeah, well, we got Bill Gates now, who, you know, had a very successful, one of the most successful technology companies. We have him as our global pandemic expert, so he's some kind of medical doctor. Now we have a former bartender with a business degree, and she's somehow the energy czar. How this happens is bizarre, but, you know, I said in my open, too, they're going to wheel out the most progressive bunch of people you've ever seen. You know, not to mention at least one, possibly two, you know, sexual predators are going to be on the stage that no one will ask them a hard question about. So it's like gets crazier by the minute.
John, it's really disappointing that, again, the party of John F. Kennedy has veered so far to the left, and they seem to be more than willing to watch this implosion, and they don't care. I think that their derangement and their hatred for this president is really clouding their judgment and their policy making. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to come back to bite them this November 3rd.
It sure seems that way. But, you know, Bill Clinton, you know, it's proven, I mean, it's known at this point, you know, that he lied to the American people. He lied under oath. He perjured himself when he said he did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. There are also a number of other women who claim that he raped and sexually abused them, and you know, Hillary had a hand in squelching them and shutting them down, and that's one. Joe Biden himself has been accused by multiple people of inappropriate conduct, sexual penetration, smelling people, fondling people, touching people, and Kamala Harris, before she signed on to be the vessel, she said, I believe the accusers of Joe Biden. So is that what they're putting out there for us to say these are the type of people we believe in?
John, again, it reminds us how morally and ethically compromised the Democratic Party has become. And for someone like, you know, Kamala Harris, to just be so obsessed with power. And again, the idea that she is a heartbeat away from the presidency, because as you can tell cognitively, Joe Biden is not well, and it's, you know, many polls.
Yeah, I'd say she's a half a heartbeat away, because Joe looks like he's half dead right now.
Absolutely, and the idea that maybe he won't finish a term and that Kamala Harris could be the president of the United States, that should scare the living daylights out of every single American.
Hey, Fernando, listen, the more left they go, the more I think this is going to be a real landslide win for President Trump. That's just how I feel. But I can tell you this. If for some way, somehow, they wangle this election, they hold it up in court, I don't know what could happen, but if somehow they win, you mark my words, Joe Biden does not make it to Inauguration Day as the president. I don't even think he's going to make it to Election Day as the candidate, to be honest with you.
John, just think about it. September 29th, mark it on your calendar. That's the first debate. 90 minutes, commercial-free, no interruptions. What Joe Biden can't even hold it together for 90 seconds. What's he going to do when he's looking across the stage at the president of the United States, and you know he's coming like a shark seeing blood in the water?
No doubt about that. It's going to be, you know, quite good television, if nothing else, I would imagine. But the president's got to watch himself, because, you know, it's like, you know, hitting a kid with glasses. You know what I'm saying? If you get too hard on him that he's breaking, then, you know, you're like a bully. And then, you know, people get sympathetic. So he's got to walk a fine line, but I think it's going to be a bloodbath, if you ask me. All right, Fernando, we got to leave it there. Thank you so much. Looking forward to your birthday celebration over at the Waterside. Hopefully I'll see you in person soon, my friend. Thanks for joining us.
God bless you, John.